The other day, a close friend of mine came and we had a chat, and he told me I was thinking about stopping kickboxing. And this is someone who hasn't been doing it for that long. And I was like, okay, why? And he gave me a bunch of reasons that I personally don't think are good enough reasons to quit something that is beneficial to you. And I just want to make this video to go over why people do things, so like sort of motivations in a sense, and how it's completely linked to your reasoning behind it, and how if you lose reasoning behind something, it's going to be very easy to quit that thing. So it's important to remind yourself why you do things, and that will allow you to not quit and do things to a better standard consistently. So he comes to me, I think, after having a couple conversations with a few other people who might have been a bit weak-minded in the sense that they didn't have grounded reason behind why they did it. And so he's like, yeah, I don't know, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing it. I'm like, okay, let's just go back to basics here. Do you need to know how to fight? In life, is that a skill that is going to in some way help you? Is it ever going to hurt you to know how to fight, you know? And he goes, yeah, you do. And so I was like, okay, if you need to know how to fight and you know that, then why are you quitting? Do you think you've become good enough to the point where you can completely stop? And he was like, well, I think I'm better than average. So because of that, you know, I don't think I need to do it anymore. I don't think I need to put as much time into it. You know, I'd rather just be in the gym and lift weights. And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. You are better than average. But if your reasoning behind doing something is to get to a certain point, and then your plan is to get to that point, and then you can stop and then relax, and that's what you have in your mind, you're fucked. Because these types of things that are hard to obtain, you don't get them by just wanting to get there. You get them by sort of falling in love with the process of getting there. And so by the time you're at that point that you wanted to get originally, you like the process so much that you keep going. And I think people forget a lot of the time skills like fighting, any sort of mental toughness or discipline that you acquire, any sort of skill, even people skills, they're very perishable. They're very perishable skills. And that's why lots of people get really good at something and they just stop and they become shit at it. They lose all their skill and all the hard work they put in was basically for nothing. So I sat there with him and I was like, the way you frame this in your mind it isn't right. Don't think of it as an end goal. Like, oh, I want to get slightly better than average so that maybe if I do get in a fight or I need to protect myself or someone else that I care about, maybe if he's an average guy, I might be able to win. And it's just like, that's a fine thing a fine goal to have, you know, to be slightly more confident than an average person in that situation. But if you ever want to take it to a competitive level where you're not losing and you actually want to win and become sort of the best that you can possibly be, you need to forget the whole end goal. There is no end goal. You train every day and it's part of your lifestyle. You learn every day as part of your lifestyle. You make money every day as part of your lifestyle. And you fall in love with the process of doing these things. And that's exactly what makes you a successful person in the end. So just think about that sort of perspective and like adapt it to whatever you want or whatever you want to do. Don't think of an end goal. Like, oh, I want to get to this weight and then I'm going to stop. I don't mean this in a not setting goals way. I mean this in a, I'm going to get here and then just stop. And that's it. I don't have to do this anymore because it's hard. Things like this are hard. So I'm going to do this and then I can just stop, right? Frame it as more of a lifestyle thing that is never going to change and just make it part of you. And that way you're never going to stop. You have a much lower chance of quitting. It's much harder to quit because it's actually part of you. You can't just bin it off. But I'm happy that he took that quite constructively. I think I was playing devil's advocate. I was saying what I've just said, but even more harsh because to get him to be sort of in the middle, because he was over here, he was in a bad place, and I'm like, I had to split the difference and like be really extreme to get him to come to the middle and sort of balance out. But I think it worked, and yeah, I mean, if you know you need to do something and there's a reason behind it, and you should do it, even if it's difficult, just do it. So yeah, if you're a person who oftentimes quits things or gives up on things or maybe even achieves the goal that they wanted and then just sort of falls off and goes back to below where they were before. Your problem is you're almost too goal-oriented to the point where you want to get somewhere and then stop and you don't enjoy the process. So fall in love with the process, even if it is difficult, find a way to enjoy it, the improvement, fall in love with, you know, improving at something and never stop. And that way you're never going to fall off and, you know, you're going to have some setbacks, some plateaus, whatever it may be. But if you keep at it, eventually you'll get to the point where you're at your best, or at least, you know, near your natural potential for whatever that thing may be.